Good morning, guys. If you don't know me, I'm Marshall Burtcher, and I help codependents rediscover their value, voice, and vision quickly. Usually within 13 weeks, you start to really get in contact with that, and from there comes your happiness, which is my big goal for you. So if you're new to me, that is what I do. I've been at this for almost 12 years. I'm a survivor myself, so I know the mountain, and I know the elements of the journey, because everyone's path is a little different, right? But I know the elements you're going to encounter on that journey. So there we go. Today we're going to be talking about the secret need behind fixing. But before I do that, I need to share this out to the community. So if you're new to me, I have a free, secure, private community here on Facebook called Thriving Beyond Codependency. And this is where you get connection and contact with other survivors like yourself that are tapping into their brilliance, into their happiness, into their value, voice, and vision in a secure way. So you can join us there. The link is above on Facebook. It's below on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, click that like button and also click that subscribe button. Okay, guys, let's get this puppy shared out. So I'm going to go here. And I'm going to go here. It's springtime here in Boise, Idaho. I am so happy about that. It's a big deal because I don't like the winter. All right, so let's talk about this bit. The secret need behind fixing others. Codependency is rooted in meeting needs. Okay, it is a survival strategy for dealing with what I used to call, and still reference, love starvation, need starvation. What was called a love wound, which is a 3-element wound of not being lovable. I don't love myself, others won't love me, and nobody will want my love. It's also how we survive what's called transactional relationships or consumer supply relationships. These kinds of relationships are focused on what's in it for me and how does, what do I get out of it? What do I get out of it? It's very unidirectional. It's one directional. It's always towards the other person. And that is trains us to believe that our value is in what we do with other people. It's how we make them feel. So for a codependent, the codependent's sense of worth is rooted in the effectiveness they have in regulating somebody else's feelings, making them happy, anticipating their needs or wants, avoiding rocking that boat, disappointing them, upsetting them, earning their rejection, that kind of thing. And this is the secret need behind fixing, because fixing is all about feeling valuable to somebody else. So I'm just going to put it right out there. Not a whole lot of mystery here anymore, but it's about value. Am I worth it or worthwhile to this person? Will they keep me? And this fixing becomes a state of worth, both socially and internally to ourselves. Because if we don't have something to fix, we don't have someone to fix, then who are we? Do we exist? Do we matter at all? Yeah, we lose contact with ourselves and with our value when there's not a person to fix. And this is one of the really compelling elements for fixers when it comes to their particular codependent fantasy, because their value is rooted in fixing that person and regulating the other individual. And when they have those little moments where it looks like they've actually fixed the person, then they feel a huge euphoria, right? You feel really valuable. You feel really important. You found yourself. You found love. You're going to be useful again. You're going to be kept. You're going to have the fulfillment of that fantasy. See, guys, that secret need behind fixing is to be valued by another human being, to be connected, to be important to them. And deeper in that is the need to exist, the need to be seen, to be valued for who we are. So in the happiness strategy, which is my solution to codependency, there's 3 elements we focus on, and that first element is called innate value. Fixing is all about trying to feed that innate value through a transactional medium, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments below if it does. This is important to understand because codependent behaviors are motivated by need. They're motivated by 10 core needs specifically, and one of those is being valued, okay? And that's also attention, safety, play, rest, being protected, sheltered emotionally, being nurtured emotionally. And so this secret need shows up through these behaviors: fixing, people pleasing, controlling, avoiding conflict, and those kind of things. You understand that codependency comes from this arena of need, and how we get our needs met, rather, because codependency is a skill set we use to get that met. Life becomes a lot clearer and a lot simpler. So if you're struggling with fixing, what you need to do is stop and start retrieving your value back from the other person, and then really connect with yourself. It's like, who am I beyond fixing? Who am I beyond the experience of being the responsible party for how they feel? Because when we start to differentiate ourselves from them that way, we start to get access back to our feelings, back to our own awareness, our own brilliance, our own voice and vision. And this allows us to move forward beyond fixing into skills of contribution. And skills of contribution, like an alternative to fixing, would be helping. And I speak from this in personal and professional experience. I'm really good at identifying patterns. I'm really good at identifying systems and creating solutions to those systems if they create problems. It's one of my elements of brilliance. But that used to make me a fixer. I go in and fix people's problems. I took responsibility for them. Now, fixing means I'm responsible for their feelings. I'm responsible for the outcomes they're experiencing. I'm responsible for what they're going through. I'm responsible for their consequences. And that is false, obviously, because when you get into ownership, people own the consequences of their actions and their choices 100% of the time, regardless of their level of consciousness or awareness about what they're doing. The reason why is because consequences are teachers. They're life's mentors. They come in and they inform people about reality. And if the person is willing to receive that information, they can adjust their skill sets and get a better result down the road. Well, fixing inhibits this, and it puts, basically we're inserting us between them and their reality and trying to protect them. And it's a very effective way of becoming very valuable to a narcissistic individual. Because what does a narcissist fear the most? What do they hate the most? What do they rally against the most? Anybody want to make a guess? They hate accountability. They hate consequence. Because what consequence does is it reveals them. It exposes their fraud for what they are. Because the thing a narcissist values more than anything else in their existence is their image. And their image is inflated and maintained by supply. But when that supply doesn't happen and they get confronted with something, then their image becomes threatened, and then they lash back at you. So if you're a fixer, a narcissist is going to love you because, oh, you take the blame. You take the hits. You explain away my bad behavior. You enable me. See how this works. And in return for being that fixer, sometimes the fixer gets the praise of the narcissist. Sometimes they get a little love bomb here and there. And that little breadcrumb of attention and love validates the fixer's logic in that, oh, I can be valuable here. And that just perpetuates this fantasy that they can fix other people. The problem with the fixer is they can't, or they won't acknowledge that their efforts don't ever actually work. Because the fix that happens doesn't stay. And so this becomes a perpetual carrot. They're always chasing that carrot, that fantasy that one day their efforts will transform the other person, and then there'll be real love, there'll be no problems, they'll be whole, they'll finally be valued for everything they've done and for the person they are. That's the trick there, guys. That secret need behind fixing others is that we need to be valued for who we are. We need to be loved and cherished for the beingness we be, not for what we do. We got to exit that transactional experience and get into a connected experience where we're loved for who we are, not what we do. So if you struggle with fixing, what you need to do here is identify the sensations that show up with fixing. That's a compulsion to get into other people's drama. It's also an attitude of I know better than they do about their situation. And fundamentally, it's getting in contact with the emptiness you feel when you're not fixing. Get back in contact with that emptiness, because in that space is really the true you. You just haven't met them. You don't understand them yet, and now you need to just join in and connect with them at the level they're at. Okay? You start with that, and then you start retrieving your value. Every time you feel the fix impulse, you retrieve that value from them. And you begin to internalize the experience of being the joy you be. Because innate value is somatic. It really doesn't have a whole lot of words to it. But one expression that's really consistent is joy. So when you're really aligned with yourself, there's a deep calm, a deep joy, a deep clarity about things. And then when you anchor in that, your voice comes alive, your vision comes alive, and then suddenly you don't need to fix anymore. You know how to contribute in a way that empowers you and them, and you can go out and actually play. Because I know for a fact that codependents tend to lump their relationships into the support category. They don't value play as much because play is exposing. Play has been weaponized against them. But in healthy relationships, they're largely playful with healthy support, intimacy, and companionship. But when you really anchor in play, you get into want. And when you get into want, you get into creativity and expansion. And that's where you're going to find more of your fulfillment and happiness. So that's today's training, guys. It's a short one. I just wanted to hit the secret need behind fixing others. So if you're struggling with that, I invite you to join the Happiness Strategy. You take the masterclass at linked above on Facebook, below on YouTube. Then you can join the Happiness Strategy, where you're going to learn how to retrieve your value and anchor in it, how to hear your voice and follow it, how to embrace your vision and bring it into reality, as well as healing the fawn and freeze reflexes that have motivated your codependency. Deeply in that, you're actually unrooting yourself from your love addiction and getting more anchored into the brilliance you be, so you don't need that other person anymore. Instead, you're connected back with you and developing healthy, resilient, and fun relationships and friendships outside that codependent spectrum, so that you can be happier. So there you go, guys. I appreciate you. Remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping, and I will see you guys next week for our next series of trainings. And be safe out there, and I will see you on Tuesday.